the springboard floating bro to the outside. And I remember hearing Luke's commentary of it. Like Matt Riddle took so long in the air, and then Luke, he's doing the floating bro. Like, so.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Feds here today, ladies and gentlemen. We got the usual crew, the usual lineup here today. We're going to dive into some of our own personal pet peeves that we find with the Pic Fed, not only community, but, Pic Fedding in general, taking the photographs, things of that nature that we personally go through. We also have some mistakes that maybe we can help you guys out with out there that are, looking to start your Pic Feds or that you may deal with on a day-to-day basis when filming your Pic Feds. But we're going to dive into not only the mistakes that, that we see in the community, but also, again, our pet peeves and things of that nature. So should be a really good episode. I'm excited to film it here today. How's everybody feeling?
And I am feeling absolutely wonderful today. And who better to discuss pet peeves and mistakes people make in their Pic Feds than the Danny Meltzer. They don't call me Danny Meltzer for nothing. As you guys know, before this, I was the Dave Meltzer of the community, and I was, reviewing everybody's feds. It got me a lot of hate, but hey, I was spitting them facts, boy. And I'm going to spit more facts today as we get right into this. Isn't that right, Nate?
Yeah, I can't wait. And today we are going to discuss the mistakes. But before we do that, we want to talk about what we got planned. So right now, I just want to take some time to tell you all, I've been working really hard on the Shield versus the Hurt Business. It's going to be an awesome match, having a lot of fun making it. And yeah, it's just going to be wild. I'm hoping to premiere it on Sunday, and hopefully we can get that out. I'll have an official announcement soon. But Gennady, Luke, what are you working on?
So I just got done and uploaded the Money in the Bank qualifying matches yesterday. It's nothing I really enjoy to do, but I feel like, you got to do the qualifying matches. You can't just put random people in the ladder match. I wanted to do that. And now we're getting closer to Money in the Bank. I'm still waiting for a few things like ring skirt and stuff like that. And I'll probably film some GCW Extreme in the time I'm waiting for the Money in the Bank stuff, and then we can go right into the pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, that's going to be real entertaining, man. I cannot wait. I can't wait to see these two big boys in action right here, WSC and MDT. It's getting closer by the day, people, and I'm just shaking in my boots. That's what I'm doing.
Yes, sir. And who's going to be the surprise in the Money in the Bank? We'll have to wait and see. I'm interested to find out who that is, huh?
Oh,
I got my guesses. I'm predicting some things.
I could not even.
We'll have to wait and see.
I could not even sit here and say all the names on the top of my head. There's just so many. There's 7 billion people on the earth, and only so many wrestlers out there. It could just be any random. No, I know exactly who it is, and I think you guys know.
I think I do too.
I feel like I know where this is going.
Hold on, give me 1 second to prepare. Magic Marvin. That's who's going to show up in Money in the Bank, and he's going to win, and he's going to steal the show. Well, he's going to be the Magic Marvin.
Fans want to see it.
It used to be the Kenny show, but now it's going to be the Marvin show. All right, that's what's going to happen. GCW, more like. I was going to say something clever, but I'm done with my Magic Marvin jokes. What about you, Trey? What have you been working on these past few days or leading up to this episode?
All right. So basically today I actually knocked out, I don't know if you guys checked out the video or not, but I had to clean my entire office. It was an absolute wreck. There was figures just stacked up high from pay-per-view reviews and the new figures that came out and like all the different comparisons, so the figures stack up everywhere. And then you got loose hands and accessories and everything kind of flooding everything, really cutting into my filming time, not only filming new videos, but just like the arena was a wreck. So getting all that squared away was really nice. And it kind of cleared the mind, got the mind clear and stuff like that. So,
that's usually how it works. There's this old joke about like, Oh man, as soon as this person gets their room cleaned up, it's like they just turned their whole life around. And, you know, maybe in hindsight, it's not really that serious, but you know, at that time, you feel rejuvenated. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of feel kind of baptized a little bit, like you've been reborn, and you had
that's why I just go ahead and sell the figures that I don't use anymore, so I don't have like a gigantic mess here anymore. So it really helps.
Yeah, I usually just buy figures I'm going to use for the Fed if I ever came back to full-time doing it. But
yeah, that's kind of how I see things now. Like I try to buy it more for, like, back in 2018, I used to buy everything. I used to want everything, buy everything. But now it's just like, I don't need some flashback guy from the 80s. Like I just get the things I need.
I don't believe in buying legends no more. It's like I wasn't around when these guys were, you know, there. You know, it's like I don't have any emotional attachment to a lot of them. I like Ultimate Warrior, I like Hulk Hogan, I like Stone Cold. But you won't see me like buying every single freaking Stone Cold figure they ever make. You know, that's just asinine. That's just crazy. You know, I'll buy every single Undertaker that doesn't look the same that they ever make. That because that's my boy. That's my hero. But other than that, yeah, I'll just buy things that I know I'm going to use. So that's
I think that's like a common thing among us. Like, honestly, if I didn't need to review or if I didn't need to make, you know, and like show the community these new figures that we get and things like that, I probably would not have a lot of these figures. But, you know, like if we get an Ultimate Warrior and then, you know, a few months later we get another Ultimate Warrior, whatever the case is, then, you know, I'm sure that people want to see the comparison between the last Ultimate Warrior and the current Ultimate Warrior that we just got or something like that. So I think that's definitely something that I've also found that, you know, if I can't use it in like a pick fed scenario or something like that, then it's kind of like, what do I need this for? But at the same time, you know, I do want to plug in those comparisons and things, like I said.
Speaking of ultimates, what's in your opinion the best Ultimate Edition they've made so far?
The best Ultimate Edition that they've made this far? I don't know. I have a few that come to my brain. For some reason, I know this isn't the best one. It's just the one that kind of like pops in my brain immediately. It's either I love the Ronda Rousey for whatever reason.
Yeah, it is pretty fun to film with. You know?
And then I also love the Brock Lesnar.
The Beast. That's my favorite, man. I love that.
I never held that in my life. I think I only have like.
You never had the Lesnar?
Nah, I just didn't.
It's perfect, bro. The definitive Lesnar figure.
Really? It's immaculate.
Oh, 100%.
Even better than the Elite.
Bro, interchangeable heads, the boots.
Well, I know all that, but
the whole body looks beautiful. It's so good.
It's just like when you feel it in the hand, it's one of those things that you're just like, you feel it's like you got the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh God! Yeah. Well, what about you, Luke? I know that was a terrible analogy for Lucas because he hates that. He hates Avengers and he hates Endgame. But you know, with how do you compare the Elite to the Ultimate Edition Bork Laser?
Well, I used it a couple times, and the problem with it is that the arms got really loose on it. So it's like really hard to do, you know, especially with Brock doing the suplexes and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of
loose. How? Like his arms fall off? Or
the double jointed arms are really, they get loose after a while.
And he can't really hold the weight, right? If he is holding up someone,
okay.
Yeah, that's the only problem with it. Maybe like swap the arms with an Elite. I would say it looks good, but maybe the next Brock Lesnar Elite will come with better interchangeable arms. Maybe you could swap those.
Lord knows.
But that's the one thing that's like that marks that figure down, because that figure is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. Like I think I only have like the Ultimate Ronda Rousey, the Edge, the Fiend, and the Ric Flair, and by far out of all of them that I have, my favorite is the Ric Flair.
I was going to say the Edge, the Ultimate Edition Edge is absolutely god awful in my opinion.
Dang, I filmed a whole.
I just wish it came with a better head.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, that's why I switched the head. And at that point, as soon as I did that, I was like, "This figure's perfect for me."
You know, it would be perfect if it had better heads.
Like, but when I was filming with it, I was filming Mil Muertes versus Edge. I was having a lot of fun with it, you know. I was expecting to hate that figure when they revealed it. I was like, wow, this is the worst Ultimate Edition they've ever made. And then my buddy Mike SWE got it and was like, dude, it's beautiful. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. I'll just stick with the Elite. And then I saw it on the Target and I was like, maybe I'll use it for birthday bash, and it's like maybe it's more functional than an Elite, and it turns out it kind of was.
I think for me it was just like it looks like that Jack's finishing moves edge with the with the double torso, and like I don't know, he just looks a little too skinny, and I felt like his like legs were super stiff. But I mean, like I love Edge, and like having an Ultimate Edition Edge is like, oh, this is badass, this is amazing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we need more Edge Elite.
It was just one of those ones
100%.
that was disappointing. Like when I saw it and I was like, oh, Ultimate Edition Edge, and then when I got it in hand, I was like, it's whatever.
So yeah, that's how I kind of feel about the Ultimate Fiend, honestly. Like when
I love that figure, man.
It looks like
the legs are shit though.
I'm sorry, but like it looks like a freaking Ninja Turtle, dude. He's built like a Ninja Turtle.
He's stumpy. That's what
the legs.
The
legs are the worst.
Neck. He's got no neck. His legs are all like tree trunks, But he's beautiful to pose though. Like he's really fun to pose around. Like I have him in hand. I'm just playing around with him, and I just have him in these sinister poses. And I was like, wow, that looks like it'll look badass in a picture. See, I could like the whole like him holding his head with the shit. You can't do that with the Elite. Maybe when they get another Elite, yeah. I just like the proportions.
Well, he won't get another Elite.
Probably not. No.
Well, way to bring down the mood.
Yeah.
He's my favorite wrestler, man.
I know.
I'm more pissed off than anybody.
Yeah, but like,
I just really feel we need more current talent as Ultimate Editions.
For sure,
A Rollins, Reigns, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking.
Why do we need so many Ultimate Editions?
My dream
Ultimate Warrior.
My dream Ultimate Edition is Samoa Joe, because we need a new fucking Samoa Joe torso.
We need new legs.
Yeah, that too.
The legs are messed up.
Yeah, that, and just like I don't think they got the balls to do that. That's a challenge to you, Mattel, Bill McKinney, whatever your name is. Do that. Ultimate Edition Samoa Joe. I challenge you. I know you're probably not watching this at all, but I'm praying to God that by the off chance you are, do a Elite. No, what am I talking about? Ultimate Edition Samoa Miss Josh. All right, I'll be waiting. Challenges have been laid out there. It's up to you. It's your move.
The thing is, they've already made all of his gears, so it's like
Samoa Joe. Yeah.
So
did they make the blue? Yeah, they did make the blue.
Why do they keep making so many repeat figures like Ultimate Warrior? We're getting Goldberg. Why the hell are we getting Goldberg? We've already had a Goldberg with interchangeable heads.
I complained about that on Twitter because, like, okay, so if you take all three different versions, right? You got WCW, we have the 2-pack, and we have the entrance grades version. If you go to the Ruthless Aggression era of Goldberg, we already have the Elite 74. And then if you go to the 2016 version, you got the main event Raw ring, you got the WrestleMania figure, and then you have the top picks that just released. So it's like, the only different one they could do is if they did like a promo gear and gave him like a leather jacket or like some promo gear. That's the only way that would be dope.
That kind of reminds me of an idea I had. I was at Walmart today and I was looking at like the basics, and they had like a basic Killer Cross. And I was looking at that and I was like, why on earth would I ever buy that when I have the Elite? And then I'm thinking, like, what would be a good way to have people like be more interested in buying basics? If basics were just like street gear, like you can have
that was the idea behind the T-shirt series, right? Like a long time ago. Remember they used to have like the T-shirt promo?
Yeah, I think I remember something like that. And they stopped because people like stopped buying them or something like that, or what?
I don't even know.
I think they still do T-shirt figures like Cena and stuff. Don't they?
I saw an Edge one, but like I think it's like really rare, or maybe not. Maybe they have.
Well, everyone shit on it.
You talking about the light green shirt?
Everyone shit on that one,
dude.
Yeah, I know it's terrible, but it's like there's a shirt figure, and you just do that. So because I was thinking like, oh man, how badass would it be if he had like that cross, right? That cross where he has like either like the tank top shirt or the leather jacket type look, and you can have him cut promos in your fit.
I think the biggest issue with basics is they just don't look good. Like they just look ugly. right? Like they don't, their proportions, the way their body styles are, the way their legs look, like I don't know, it's something about basics.
I don't think they're that. I think it's the women's basics that are kind of throwing me off with the whole.
I don't know, but if you look at that Edge, like his legs are like super skinny. He looks just, I don't know, it just is a weird looking figure. And then you look at the new Braun, you know, the new Braun coming out. He's got the shirt.
Oh, no.
Oh, I got that. It's actually pretty good. Like I like it, and the knees aren't stiff at all. Like it's actually.
I bet that thing is like a brick.
It's actually pretty good. Like the knees, usually the knees on the basics are stiff. This one like bends super easy.
Oh, did you buy it? You have it?
Yeah, because I wanted that like t-shirt look.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, it's actually not too bad.
See, basics can be good as long as like I think they should just stop doing a tie wrestling gears on basics and just keep on with the street gear, promo gear, whatever.
Well, then like kids, you know, like, you know, like little Bobby that's 6 years old, you know, he strolls into the Walmart and he doesn't want a Seth Rollins in the jacket. He wants the Seth Rollins wrestling gear is the big deal.
I remember that back in the day with Jax. I would never buy the ones with the shirts or whatever because, you know, I wanted them to wrestle.
Yeah. I used to cut them off as a kid, bro. You used to take scissors, cut off the jackets, even the ones with the molded arms with the jacket arms, just cut off their jackets. It was the worst, bro. I don't know why I did that. And I used to remove all the knee pads and elbow pads.
You absolute scoundrel. Why would you do that?
I don't know. I've got to go back in time and smack myself.
Oh my
Jesus.
God. I'll do it for you. Oh my God. I never do that to maybe I did. I don't know. I kind of don't remember how I used to play with my toy. The only thing I remember was when my dog at the time, his name was T-Bone. He was a Chihuahua. He just destroyed all my figures. I had a Booker T, a Deluxe Aggression Booker T, Triple H, an Edge. And he just destroyed all of them. And I remember.
Did he chew on the heads?
Oh yes. And I found out how the hairs actually functions. Like they got like a square rectangle hole in their head, and I always thought that was so weird. But then nowadays I was like, because you got to glue the hair on their head like a wig. But I always got mad at my dog for doing that stuff. But that's just how it is, man.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, as we have broken down some of this little nice wrestling figure generic talk here, would you like to, who wants to start off with their, you want to start with the pet peeves or you want to start with the mistakes that we see common?
Let's do with the mistakes.
Let's do
the mistakes first because pet peeves, you know, that's the real talk.
Okay. All right. Well, do you want me to start off with the mistakes that I see first, or you somebody else want to start it off?
You can start off with one.
Okay.
I'll go next.
Yeah. Okay, that'll work. My the number one mistake that I think I see is just like I mean, this kind of goes into overall presentation, but I would say just lighting. I feel like lighting is a big mistake that a lot of people make. And the biggest thing that I see is just, you know how it's kind of hard to get it into words, but just like you want to really, you know, it's supposed to be an arena. You're at a wrestling show, right? You want it to capture that nice, bright, white light that you know really saturates the figures. It makes your photos clearer. It really creates a nice professional look, and that's something that I think that a lot of people can really resonate with. You know, when you see I know that a lot of people, or you know, all of us here, you know, we try to bring that lighting presence to our setups, and I would say that I know obviously not everybody can go out and buy, you know, 50 lamps or you can't go out and buy all the white lights and things like that. And sometimes you may have to rely on an open window or some natural lighting. But I think the biggest thing is, even if you can just get a couple lamps or try to think outside the box with your lighting,
you
and
know,
just
like, just make like small goals, you know, like small goals.
Exactly. Just build up to it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend a fortune on your setup right away if you don't want to.
On your first show is just your first show. Honestly, your first show is basically your most important because you know what to work off of. You know what to go off and improve to make short little goals, not like long ones. Like I'm going to make 1 million subscribers. No, just make a short little goal. It's like, I'm going to have my lighting be better. And then once you do that, you'll feel so accomplished and you would just want to do more and just like further your fed.
Exactly. So that was my number one mistake. I think that I see is just, you know, trying to capture that clear, nice presentation with nice lighting.
Yeah. Lighting is super important. Just for photography, for pic feds, definitely super important. I've always found that. And for one of my mistakes that I see is camera angles. Now, I've seen a lot of people just have the worst camera angles, and I'm not going to try and point out any names of anybody, but I just think it's very important to keep a straight camera angle and just keep the camera angles consistent with the movement of the figures. Don't go way too out of left field. Like show us that you care about the audience viewing experience. Like don't go all over the place with the camera. Like keep it consistent. Don't do Dutch angles. Keep the camera straight. I think that's really important.
One thing I see is there's a lack of going off of the camera angle topic. I like movies. I like things that look cinematic, but not to the point where it's like a cinematic match. But let's say I'm watching a match and it's just one steady position of the camera the entire
that gets
time.
Boring too.
It's kind of boring to watch.
You could change it up. Yeah.
So like how I do it, I would have stuff happen, then I would point to a certain person who's watching, or the audience, or maybe the guy he's bleeding, he's busted open, so you have a close up on them. Tell the story with the camera. That's kind of like my mistake. Well, not really a mistake, but a lack of creativity, I guess, a lack of ambition when it comes to these pic fedders nowadays.
One more thing about the camera angles too. Some people, when they try to like hold the figure by their foot or something, and then they show like half the screen just like emptiness, and then on the side of the screen is the figure and stuff. That really bothers me. I don't like that stuff.
I've fallen
just zoom in close if you have to do that,
I've fallen victim to stuff like that back in my old videos. I think what was it called? It was called Hot Pursuit. It was the Shield versus Bane and the AOP, and a lot of those pictures were just cropped out because my hand took up like half of the frame. So it's like some pictures were smaller than the others, like their frames were smaller than the other, and it was just an annoying. It was just a mess. You can go and see that video for yourself, but so just know,
I think I can add to that too. Another thing is I know I've had a lot of people. I don't know if you guys have had this question, but some people ask if they should use a tripod, and I would highly be against the tripod.
Yeah, I thought of using that like back in my old days. I remember this one match that I had. It was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Cody Rhodes. I filmed it on my bed, and there was no audience or nothing. But I remember I had a camera. This was before I used my phone. I thought I should use my camera because it's more fancy than my phone. So I was like, oh, maybe I should just use a tripod. That idea, because it's just one stationary place, and it just feels very robotic and lifeless. I remember this one person, he tried to ask me for advice about his Fed. It was in a group chat. He said, oh, how does this look? And it was just like a steady position of the camera, and then the figures just running around. It looked really surreal. It didn't look like anything.
It looked like, I think the tripod creates almost like a robotic movement.
It makes the toys look like toys instead of moving like real people.
So when you do it with just holding the camera yourself, I think that's where you get more of that natural movement with
it makes it feel more alive. It makes everything feel more alive. If they had the camera move with the wrestlers, interact with the freaking camera, that really elevates your stuff, man. You just don't be a wuss, man. Just hold your camera and take the picture. Don't overthink it.
But I've used tripods before. Like in the last two matches I did, which are more like technical matches. You see in WWE they have the wide shot with the hard cam, and then they cut to like things with like handheld cam. So I try to do that sometimes when you're doing stuff like Irish whips off the ropes, and sometimes like I move the tripod with the wrestlers as well, just to keep the camera steady. Because if you're doing a lot of that technical pic fed stuff and you're trying to use your hands to hold the camera, sometimes you're just going to get like tipsy-turvy kind of camera angles. So you kind of want to keep them straight, and you can just move the tripod with the movement if you want to.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like crooked camera angles as long as it has a purpose. Like if it's like let's say you're filming with Killer Cross and you just had him destroy a guy, and then Killer Cross does like a pose and he goes like, right? You can have a crooked little camera angle to make it look more like stylish in that one moment. But like when it comes to a move, when you're doing it, looks kind of weird, Yeah,
so, don't do it for moves. If you're trying to, I mean, you can try and do your own style, but like if you're trying to be more like realistic, like WWE, like AEW, you would never see anything like that. So I would advise against it.
Mm-hmm. Lucas, do you have a mistake that you see or a common thing that you see?
Or maybe something that you used to do and you made it a mission to fix it?
Well, a big thing is that, especially if you have a bigger arena setup, you want to make sure that you have everything nicely in order, because otherwise it will ruin your filming session. Like, having to work around cables and stuff like that. I would highly recommend to just buy an additional extension cord, for example, to make yourself more comfortable while filming. This is like a huge thing for me. Like before I was like filming and then I would like rip out cables, sitting on them and stuff like that. I feel like people should take more of a look before starting the filming, like that the setup is perfectly made for productivity while filming. That's a huge thing that I have been improving on in the last half a year, I would say.
Yeah. If you're gonna make your stuff look like really lively, really light, oriented, you want to make it all look shiny. Yeah, it's gonna be a bitch with all those cables, and especially when you're moving around, because like I don't think anyone's gonna sit around there, crisscross applesauce, or sit on a chair for like 5 hours on end. You got to go eat, you got to go take a piss, but let's say you do that and you trip over a wire, and then that wire is connected to a poster board, and then that poster board falls over on the audience, and then boom, your entire operation is over with, and you just want to quit. You just want to retire from Pic Fedding.
No, that's
the biggest problem with it, that you want to quit when that happens,
Yeah, mm-hmm. I've definitely had that experience so many different times, and like I feel like, I don't know, that comes with like, you like kind of learn those things because, especially when you're experimenting with like a new setup, or like, oh, I want my stage to look like this, or I want my thing to look like this. And, you're balancing stuff and you're leaning stuff against stuff. And then you got your lamp plugged in, and then, the lamp, you lean in for that one money shot, and then your head bumps the lamp, and the lamp knocks over the crowd, and then it knocks over the stage, and then the Titantron fall. Like I've definitely dealt with that a ton.
Domino
effect. I've broken one of the lights back when I was doing like Instagram photography. Like I just knocked the light over, and then bam, just crashes into my arena, explodes everywhere, big mess. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, man. So,
it wasn't while I was Pic Fedding, just photography. But yeah, definitely don't do that.
Hey, it all ties in together though.
Yeah, just gotta make sure there's enough space for you to sit, work, and enough space to where if you get up, you won't knock anything over, and also be careful. Don't be reckless. This is like very delicate stuff we're working with here, especially if you have like a huge, ginormous, very extravagant setup, like, like we do, or most of us. I don't know. I feel like my setup was pretty extravagant, but that's just me. That's just me. One thing that I've always seen is a lot of teleportation going on around here in these Pic Fedders.
Yeah,
a lot of times where someone is on the other side of the ring, and then the next picture they're on the top rope. I'm like, where'd you go? You just had ultra instinct or freaking instant transmission, popping in and out of the arenas and stuff. You got to think about more than just like the moves. You got to think about where, what it takes to get to that move or to get to this place. I
want to add to that, though. It kind of really depends what style you do with that. Because if I remember, like Harrison back in the day, he wouldn't take too many pictures of like people climbing to the top rope and stuff like that. But that stuff to me was still very entertaining, because it's like, a 20-minute video. with music in the background, like a YouTube highlight video you would see of a pay-per-view. I love that kind of stuff. And if you want to do stuff like that nowadays, I think it's still fine to do so. But if you want to go like more like the
commentary,
commentary, then this is not going to work.
Yeah, it really depends on like how realistic you want things to be. If you want things to look like a wrestling music video or a highlight reel, go ahead, do teleportation. Like God knows I did it when I did like highlight versions of the feds and stuff. I believe like everything before Maximum Carnage, was all just highlight feds. I could be wrong, but I had a lot of people teleporting and then everything like that, but it didn't really matter because it was just the highlights, I kind of feel like, I think we went on this topic a while back, but how you look at your old stuff and you just wish like, oh man, I want to redo that, with my skills nowadays. I kind of feel like that when I'm looking at a match like Tyler Bate versus Bane or Aleister Black versus Pentagon Jr., especially now that I have the AEW one, and I would love to go back and, refilm Aleister Black versus Pentagon, because that kind of sounds like a dream match to me. And I hope they do that in AEW and they don't fluff it up like they've been doing with Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix's run. But that's my political status when it comes to wrestling. But let's move on here.
All right, so I'm moving on to my second mistake, and we kind of covered this a little bit. Like we kind of, I don't know, this kind of ties in with lighting, I would say, but I just think that like whether it's like the most basic setup ever, I would say that like just try to create a setup. So, just I don't care if it's, you created a stage out of cardboard, or you created a stage, or you printed off a crowd background, or you only have 5 figures in the crowd, or you have no figures in the crowd, whatever it is, just try to make something that's distinct and it's unique, and it doesn't, it's not, I'm not saying completely thrown together, but, create a nice setup for yourself, present your promotion as if it were a real thing. You want to create, a nice environment for your audience. You want something that's pleasing to the eye to watch, because if somebody clicks on your video or your pic fed, and the whole point is you want people to watch your pic fed. So if you're sitting there and you don't have at least something that shows that you care about what you're presenting to your audience, they're not going to want to sit there and watch your matches or watch the stories you have to tell, because you're not even giving them a reason to. You're not giving them a nice presentation. You're not showing that, this is what I can present and this is what, I want to show off. So I would say just create a nice setup for yourself, whether that's, the ring or, the barricade, whatever the case is, how you can go as extravagant as you want, but, whether it's the base level or the top of the line, $1,000 setup, make sure that, people can tell that you care about your setup and you put a nice professional presentation in front of your audience.
So does that go for the people who don't have like a Mattel stage, or does it or do you just like in general just prefer it when people make their own stuff out of
I would say regardless, like if you want all the Mattel stuff, you want the Mattel ring, the Mattel stage, that's completely fine. Use what be creative. I mean, that's like my favorite part of pic fedding is when people get creative. And a good example of this is, Venema and Figs, when he built that custom stage for his setup, he didn't have the most extravagant setup ever, but he made his own setup. He made a nice stage out of cardboard. He had the nice curtain and everything like that. He drew it up nice, and he made people care about his thing because he created his own setup. And so it kind of comes down to the individual, where you create your own, or you use what Mattel's given us, what Jax has given us, and you get creative with it. Whatever the case is, just make sure that you're presenting something that shows that you care about your product.
Yeah.
Yeah, true that.
For my next mistake / tip is excessive unedited strings. And what I mean by that is when they overuse string a lot, or maybe not overuse, but people who want to get really technical with it and use a lot of string, when they use it so much, it just like the string just becomes way too obvious. And it'd just be so much better if you're going to use that much string to just edit it out. I think it would look a lot better. It ruins the illusion. And if you're seeing string so much every 5 seconds, it just gets a bit annoying.
I think our boy Nitro Figs is trying to work on something like that. You know, he's got his own Fed going. He just released his first episode. You know, go and check that out when you guys have the chance. But he told me in an interview that he had, also go check that out. But he told me that he's going to start trying to make it a thing with his Fed. He's going to use string, but he's going to do his best to just edit them out, make it look like they're actually flying, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Me as a person, I will never be as patient enough to do something like that because obviously I use my hand. I think I do pretty okay with that as it is. I only used stringed once, and that was when I had Nacho fly in his debut, which is still one of the most beautiful moments of Pic Fed history. Changed my mind.
Yeah,
but
nice.
After that, I decided I will never use string again because it was already too strenuous. And to think that I got to do that every time someone flies or even like when somebody runs sometimes, like when you just want to do that good pose of them running, but they won't keep standing. So you got to use something. You know, I usually use like these little clear stands, but I see other people, they either use their hand to hold them up and they crop their hand out, or they use string. You know, I can't see myself using string for anything like that. So yeah, this conversation is beyond me. But
I've used string, but I usually use like I don't do it a lot, but I have used fishing line. So it's, you know, it's not as easy to see because I know a lot of people they use the black string or something like that, and you know it'll stand out, like it jumps out at you, especially you know, if it's, you know, a lot like you said. But I have used fishing line in the past, but I've gotten to where like the only real use that I find for it is if, you know, like, I don't know, I'm not consistent with it. Like I only use it in specific instances. And another thing I found is if like you can't have a figure, you know, we talked about the Brock Lesnar arms getting loose. Well, if he's holding a German suplex, if you use the like stretchy rubber bands, the clear
I
ones,
use those.
You can, you know, you can grip the figures together and it's like hidden amongst the joints, and you can, you know, you can use those as well to help. But
do they make clear ones like that? The stretchy rubber bands like that? Because I usually
they are
use
clear.
these.
Yeah, they are clear. The ones that Mattel gives us in the packaging.
Oh, okay. I use something different. I use these tiny rubber bands that people use for their hair.
You can do that. That you can use those as well. But I found that the Mattel ones are good because they're clear and they kind of blend in a little bit better.
Yeah. So what I'm talking about with that is like, if you're like me or MDT, we like use it like sparingly, like just when it's kind of needed, and not like, we don't really do like big things where we need like 5 strings to hold all the figures up. When you do stuff like that, it would just be so much better if you took the time to edit it out. Like if you want to like create the illusion that it's actually real and it's happening, and you don't want to show your hand, and if you don't want to show like the, you know, the strings, like it kind of breaks the illusion. So if you want to have it most realistic, if you want to take that time to even make the string in the shot, I think the best practice is to definitely edit it out.
Yeah.
I've even went as far as like I've had to post stuff where I genuinely have my entire arm and hand in a shot, and I've edited my entire arm out before.
I've caught you a couple of times, dude. That's going to be one of the things we're talking about.
Oh boy.
I think I did actually. I think I left a full image one time in a show or something like that.
Oh jeez. I just saw a couple in Hell's Gate. I haven't really looked for any in any other shows.
But you're not the only one. It's definitely happened before.
So I feel like before you get into Pic Fedding, you should make it clear to yourself what your goals are, because, you know, there are so many different ways to do it. Like if you want to have like a popular Fed on YouTube, for example, then you have to make your Fed a certain style. But if you don't really care about getting a lot of views, then you can go a completely different route, which is maybe more fulfilling to you personally. You know, you can use characters maybe that, you know, are not very popular to the mainstream, you know, to the kids, which is a lot of the audience that watch Pic Feds. You know, they want mostly WWE guys. But yet I feel like this is something you should make clear to yourself. And then, if you want to run a Fed that's not appealing really to the mainstream, that's totally cool. If you enjoy it yourself and you don't have any high expectations of like making money with it or drawing huge audiences, just don't get mad if like, somebody else does it in a way that will appeal to the masses more, and they're getting more views than you. So I feel like having clear goals before getting into it is pretty important.
I like that.
True that.
We should just, I mentioned it before, we should just cover it. Showing fingers in Pic Feds. Just double check your thing. Check the top, check the bottom of the screen, make sure it's not there.
What I do is like when I'm putting these clips of these matches together via Video Guru, I rewatch the sequence and I try to pay attention to everything around them. See if my finger is there. See if like the image is too blurry. Like go back and look at your pictures. Like double check it.
That's a great point to go back and rewatch. I mean, I'm sure everybody probably does it. Like, I don't know if you guys do. I literally, if you film a spot or, you film something and you got like, I don't know if you guys do this, but you'll literally you'll be 50 pictures into a match. You'll literally go back to the very beginning and literally watch it.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do that.
Yeah. So when you're, just like they said, I've even done it myself. You leave a hand. Yeah. You'll leave a hand in there. You'll leave a finger in there or whatever.
Oh my God. I remember this one time I failed to do that. It was one of my shows, unfinished shows. It was called Back in Business. The main event of that night, that particular video, and it was unfinished, and I still hate myself for that. It was Johnny Gargano versus John Cena. That was a dream match to me because Johnny Gargano was basically the John Cena of NXT for a while. I had Johnny Gargano underneath the rope to the outside and on the apron. John Cena was about to climb to the top rope on to the outside. He was going to do the 5-knuckle shuffle from the top. And then boom, I was doing that and I thought this was going to look so cool, right? I already took the pictures, I edited it, I uploaded it, and I look back, the referee fell face first to the ground and he's just sleeping the whole time. And I was looking at that and I was just like, oh no. That just destroyed the whole match. Like, it doesn't even matter if this is.
I'm sure everybody can relate to that in some way because I've done that. I've literally been like halfway through an epic spot, and then like I'm like, oh my God, like a random figure's chilling on the stage that you could literally see the entire
just vibing the whole time. Oh,
I had the last one like that at the Royal Rumble when Darby Allin did the coffin drop of the castle and then fleed into the crowd, and like you can see for a while afterwards Darby Allin is still like kind of half over the barricade like jumping over it because I just forgot him there afterwards. So
no, I did not.
That's so funny.
I'm gonna have to look back at that.
That's
there's definitely gonna be some goofs that we're gonna show you here, bro. Like not everybody's perfect, especially the big dogs.
I'll try to send you some photos to plug in for people to see because I know I've done it in my shows. Like I know for a fact it's happened.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm speaking of when I'm talking about my stuff because
we'll show some examples how people understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, that thing with the ref has always haunted me ever since. I'm always checking on the ref every time I'm filming.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be
on. Yeah, bro. Lazy refs. Just come on, just pose your ref, move his head a little bit to look at the figures. Like, don't have him looking off in the distance. Come on, guys.
Okay,
I like it. Yeah.
My dad. I remember my dad would always tell me that. I was like, "Why is the ref standing in the corner like that?" And I was like, "Man, because like if I
like at least just have him look."
Yeah, like if I filmed with the ref, if I filmed the ref walking around there, we'd be here all night. You know what I'm saying? So. There are some times where like the ref will react. I'll have the ref react to something. He'll walk there. Like I try not to have the ref like teleport to something when there's like a ref spot. I'll have him like gradually move forward. So it's kind of like imagine 3 people in the match. You're filming with 3 people when it comes to that stuff. And
Yeah.
also, one thing that helps me with continuity and you know, or consistency with pic fedding is don't be afraid to pose these figures even when they're not in the frame, you know, because that kind of gives you a mental checkpoint of where that figure is and where he's going to be, you know, the physics of the situation. Like there's like there could be a picture of the ref running from the corner to wherever they're at, you know, where like to the other corner, and the wrestler is like chopping and chopping, right? And they've got till the 5 count. Well, what I would do, I would just pose the ref running, even though he's not in the frame. So it will seem like it makes more sense and more realistically timed that how he gets there, you know, stuff like that. I may sound like
you could just like pose his feet and count the steps to where he needs to be and then plug him in when you need to do that.
Well, you kind of have like
save yourself some time.
Whatever your frame rate is kind of like the universal time frame. So, you know, like if somebody, I think I've done a spot where, you know, somebody runs around the entire ring, then, you know, whatever that frame per second would be, you have to calculate for that. If they're not going to be in frame, you're going to have to calculate that when you're, you know, showing the ref or showing, you know, whatever you're showing when they're not in frame. That's something that you got to kind of calculate in your brain when you're filming it.
That's something I also wanted to touch on too. When pic feds are too slow, you need, I think things need to be different speed. Don't have everything the same speed because people are going to move at different speeds. They're going to punch faster or slower. They're going to run faster. They're going to move faster. They're going to move slower. So it needs to be all adjusted to how you feel it should be at the time and not all the same, because then it just becomes too slow.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And then also adding to that point about, you know, being the frame rate being too slow, I guess it kind of, especially like in a commentary fed, because then you're like, you know, you're trying to like fill up time between things. Like if things are slow,
I remember Matt Riddle versus Bane. Matt Riddle was going to do like the springboard floating bro to the outside. And I remember hearing Luke's commentary of it. Like Matt Riddle took so long in the air, and then Luke, he's doing the floating bro. Like, so I was like, damn, okay, frame rate does matter a
frame
lot.
rate, man. Yeah, 100%.
So
that's why I like doing the vid fed kind of stuff, because like when you do stuff like that, it shouldn't happen too slow like that, you know? That's when it comes into play and it's good.
So yeah,
do you feel like sometimes it gets too fast if you do the vid fed stuff? Like, you know, if you use the video that the figures like just like speed through the screen sometimes. I've had that before.
No, not really. I mean, I'm pretty quick about my stuff. Have
you ever considered like taking the footage of the figures falling?
I mean, you can slow it down, kind
of. Yeah, that's what.
I've done that before.
What I've been doing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can play around with that, see what works for you.
Yeah, I know. I know if I came back to fedding, I wouldn't do like vid fed stuff. It's just not my thing. But yeah, I feel like that could be something to help. Like if something looks too fast, just slow it down.
Yeah.
You know. Or what about like when people do promos? People, when they type in promos, they got like misspellings and all that stuff. They got to time things right with the frame rate. Have people, they got to think about, you know,
people reading it.
Yeah, people reading it. You know, I can't, like, there have been several times where I'm reading somebody's thing and it just goes like blitz. It's just blitz past. It just goes like the Flash. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to pause this, you know, and read it. You got, like, the thing I do is I read it myself. Actually, what I do, I read it myself in character. So therefore, it's kind of slightly slower than how people would actually read it. And it would give them more than enough time to read it.
That's kind of my formula that I found when doing promo work and stuff like that is you when you're editing it, you'll read it as if you're the character. And then I always give, like, I kind of read fast. I feel like I read pretty fast or too fast. So I'll read it in the character and the way it's supposed to be read. and then I'll give them a courtesy second.
Yeah. Because I know that Luke doesn't really like doing promos and stuff.
Yeah, I really hope AI gets to a point where we can like type in promos and it will actually sound like the superstar itself is speaking it.
That's a dream scenario.
I've read something about that. I feel like I've told you before. Like there's this app Speechify or something, and they talked about it.
People make SpongeBob memes using something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about it that, for example, if you have a parent or whatever, and they're about to die or whatever, and you want their want them to speak for like 3 minutes on an audio file and upload it to their platform, and then it will you can put any text pretty much, and it will read it as it was them reading it to you. So I was figuring this should also work if you would put like wrestlers promo in there for like 3 minutes or whatever, and then they can say whatever you want them to say. This would be like huge for Feds, I think, in the future.
That would be massive.
That'd be a game changer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be insane.
Am I the only one who's kind of mortified by that?
I mean,
like
it's a little
with
dark,
with the whole like, oh, my parents are about to die, and I want to put them in a robot voice and all that stuff, and I'm just like, you guys are like, oh man, that would be great for Feds, man. Yeah, I do this, and I'm just sitting there, just like, just absolutely just having a midlife crisis, just thinking about that depressing ass shit, But let's just move on before I start getting more bummed out. So yeah.
All right. So you want to move on to the pet peeves then?
Let's talk about pet peeves of just pic feds. Let's not talk about like figures in general. Let's just talk about like filming pic feds and everything that relates to that.
Okay. I guess my biggest pet, or I'll just add to the other feds real quick. One thing that is a pet peeve of mine is when I know like obviously not everybody can help this, and sometimes you have no other choice sometimes, but I would say like basic figures in feds, I've just personally never been able, and it may just be because I'm terrible, but I don't know, it like takes me out of it when I see like, because basics cannot move like an elite can. It's just the
I've seen someone try to film a match with the basic Matt Riddle and the basic Drew Gulak in a technical prowess match, and it was just the most abysmal experience I've ever seen.
So it's just they're super stiff, right? I mean, like you want your posing to be fluent, and I feel like that literally cannot be done with a basic figure, at least to the highest possible degree. So
yeah, I'm using Bobby Lashley, the basic with the long pants in my newest match. And because it's not like a technical kind of guy, it kind of works because he just does like power moves and stuff. So I haven't minded really. And
it depends on who it is. Yeah. It depends on who it is.
Definitely don't want to do it.
Doesn't it fall down really easily if you have someone lifted up and stuff like that? Isn't that a pain?
No, it actually, if you're trying to hold a figure up, it stands really well because of the kind of statue feet. But also when you're trying to pose it and like running and stuff, it's definitely harder because the feet are a little bit wonky in the way they're like made.
Yeah.
But I haven't had too much issues with it. Yeah. It's just kind of like walking and running, posing is a little bit challenging with it. But other than that, it's not too bad.
And I've seen people put on, like I've actually seen good pic fed matches with basics. Like I've seen it plenty of times. It's just a personal thing that like, it's a basic. Damn. Wish that was an elite.
It kind of turns me off to try and watch that match.
Yeah. I think that's more what it is.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I see, and I know it's not that big of a deal, and it might be just being like a nitpicky little bitch, but here's the thing. I look at shows and people who don't exactly have the best setup, but they have a decent enough setup and they have audience members. Then I look at the audience members. Some of them are missing heads. Some of them are missing arms. And it's like there's just deconstructed mannequins in the audience, and it looks so fake to me. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. You got to build up space. You don't have all the figures in the world, but like, do you need that many people if that's the case? I would rather have like 5 full figures, in the audience than a bunch of zombies. and a bunch of just rotting corpses in the crowd. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I always just notice that sometimes, and it kind of takes me out of the show. That's just me.
And that goes back to your setup and stuff, that goes back to making a professional, you want to present something nice. You want to show that you care about what your crowd looks like, your ring looks like. You don't want to just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall. You want to, think it through, make it look nice. What's going to be in frame, what looks good, what looks coherent and everything like that. I feel like that plays into that a lot.
Yeah. I just wish I had more like clothing for my figures, so like I can just put them all the audience members have some kind of.
Dude, I can send you some. I have boxes full.
Oh, thank you so much. That you're a lifesaver.
I really don't like it if people just have like a backdrop, but no actual figures in front of it behind the ring. That is something
like literally right up to the ring.
Yeah, right. That is something exactly that throws me off, and I feel like if you have the possibility, make the crowd as deep as you can behind the ring, like facing the hard cam. I want to say, kind of like from where you film.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a huge thing that will make your arena look a lot better.
Yeah. At that point, it doesn't even like look like a real place. It kind of looks like a gym, and they just taped a bunch of wallpapers of the wrestling crowd. It's like you go to like a wrestling school and they say, to give you the feeling of you're in a crowd, we taped in all of these backdrops here on the wall.
You're throwing shade at the stop motion Ringside Collectibles then, because that's how their setup is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it is.
All the stop motions are like that. They got I think they may even green screen in their crowd.
Yeah.
I collect. See, because I don't keep up with that stuff. So like, I don't.
Oh, I think it's JWS owner that makes those, right?
Yeah, the work is phenomenal.
Yeah, he gets a pass because it's stop motion.
I mean, it's
cool.
not even.
It's
I
awesome.
don't even think it's his. It's not even his setup. I think it's ringside or is it his setup?
No, it's his setup. He just sends it to. No, I don't even think he does it for ringside. He does it for WWE. They post on their page his stuff.
Yeah, right.
Well, the work is phenomenal. He's a legend.
Yeah. AWS owner. Would love to have you on the show, buddy. Just
has that guy ever done like a video other than stop motion? I don't think so, right?
No, but that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say for my pet peeves is when you're trying to film a match, but you have some of the older figures and the figures aren't able to hold weapons. And it's just like a fisted hand and a normal hand. You're trying to do a chair shot. And you're like, what the hell? What do I do
at that point, like, what can you do, man? Because not a lot of these figures have like double open hands, dude.
You got to get creative. You got to do the old pinch the fist to the wrist as hard as you possibly can on the hinge.
Yep. Or just like, or even do like a little clear rubber band thing and just have them just strapped on to the freaking chair. They
have choke slamming hands and they can't even hold the damn chair.
I usually just squeeze both legs of the chair in that hand and just hope for the best. Kind of just wedge it in there. Oh God, now I'm trying to demonstrate with my G-Man figure and it just ended up horribly wrong.
You got to get creative. In Pic Fedding, you got to get creative. Like if you don't have something or you don't have whatever, and that it's not possible, or you can, the timeline doesn't work out. Sometimes you gotta just work around it. I think that's one of the things that every pick fedder can relate to. You just sometimes you got to wing it and sometimes you got to make some things up on the go.
Yeah, especially like with so many different companies making these weapons. I don't even think that like the AEW weapons work that well with the AEW figures. If they don't have like the mic holding hands, it just I tried to like have Pentagon Jr. hold chairs in the Devil's Playground 3 Stages of Hell match with him and G-Man. That was not particularly my favorite part of that match, I'll tell you that much. But
some of them are way too thin to even hold in the hands. Like I just used the barbed wire broomstick. And it's just so thin to hold. It's tough.
And you think those are thin. I just got the Boss Fight Studio stuff because I saw Luke use it.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, and I looked at the barbed wire baseball bat. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, bro.
It looks so
I
beautiful.
used that in the match too. It's so thin.
And it's just like, oh man, it's just jiggling around in their hand.
Yeah.
And it's
what the hell?
Like, yeah, bro. So like, I guess it just only works for Boss Fight Studios figures, which I don't have. But
yeah,
I don't know how I'm gonna work around that. But
yeah, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm. And because like it sucks because this is the best looking barbed wire baseball bat I have now, and I can't
you gotta hold it up
it.
high.
And and it's just I don't know.
I think there's a good one coming from AEW too. I think.
Oh, the black one. I just got that. I haven't been able to use
barbed wire baseball bat, the barbed wire set that the AEW got.
Yeah, and I feel like there's another.
I don't know if it looks the best though.
Yeah, it kind of looks toyetic. It looks a bit because like I'm looking at it in comparison to the Boss Fight Studio. It's just no comparison.
Well,
bro.
Did they do you have the re-release version, Lucas, or is it the old one?
I don't know. Like I just got it randomly. I feel like it's coming in like a 2-pack with Moxley and someone.
There's a new Moxley and Kenny Omega 2-pack that comes with pretty much every accessory from the weapons pack except the big platform deal. So it's going
to bed.
I really wonder. Do you know where they are going to be out? Like,
I have no idea. I've covered so many of them and so many news videos and stuff like that. And like, I have not like you have the 4-packs, you have the SCU 2-pack, you have the Moxley and Darby, you have the Moxley and Kenny, you have like all these different 2-packs that we haven't even heard anything about. They're just kind of chilling
because
out there.
These 2-packs have been available in China for such a long time.
And that's what's crazy. And we haven't heard any news about it. Maybe that's what the news is coming this week then, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, they suck anyway. They're just pretty much re-releases.
I mean, they're just re-releasing.
Except for the SCU. That's a new attires and stuff. So.
Yeah.
That's the only one I'm remotely. That's the only one I'm remotely interested in. You know, repaint. Aren't all freaking what's it called? The figures in wrestling repaints. If you really think about it.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
But a lot of them are just like re-releases, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like the Darby and the Mox and the all that. I know that.
One thing, and it's weird that there's the Mox and Darby and the Mox and Kenny 2-pack. Like, are they in the same series? It's so weird.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was going to say. Maybe, I don't know if this is, I mean, I would hope so. I don't know this for a fact, but maybe, some of those figures had some problems. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll fix Moxley's loose legs or loose torso or anything like that. Maybe if we're getting re-releases, at least go the extra mile and get the quality of the figures better than the first go around. That way you have an incentive for picking those up. If it's going to be a repaint or a re-release, at least make it where, the figures there's an incentive to picking up that 2-pack.
Yeah.
Have they ever addressed their loose figures or not?
I mean, I don't think so, but I mean, who wants to come out and say, yeah, we know our figures are super loose?
I think they better man up and do that, honestly, because I'm getting real tired of this shit, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I'm getting
because I remember back in the day, like when Mattel made the ring and it was like the ropes were low, they at least said, oh, next time we're going to fix it. In the end, they didn't, but at least they, mentioned it.
Did they say that?
They didn't address it at all, but at least they said something about it.
I mean, they said they are aware the next ring will be, fixed. And then the SmackDown ring came out and was the same.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is correct.
Yeah.
Man, I want a new main event ring. I love that ring.
You're talking about the one that with the glowing posts?
Yeah. It looks so clean.
Luke, how come you don't use it? You used to use it, but you don't use it recently.
The main event ring?
Yeah.
I mean, I used it for the qualifying matches.
Oh, did you?
He still has it. He just has like a GCW modified version of it.
Yeah, it's like not nice for me to film in them because the ropes are so loose, kind of.
I just don't like.
Oh, you don't have custom ropes.
I mean, I was meaning to say they're so low that just throws me off.
Yeah.
I just don't like how you can't take. Can you take off the turnbuckles of this main event ring?
No.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. That's the only thing I don't like about
Yeah.
it.
Speaking of the main event ring and all the LEDs and stuff like that, hopefully this crowdfunder, maybe some people can customize the entrance stage or something like that.
I'd hope so. It would give me more incentive to actually get it, but I don't know. I don't know if they're
Customize the entrance stage.
Yeah, like play around with it. I don't know, get creative with it. Maybe you can pop the W out, put like a laminated logo over it, and it'll glow through or something. I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
Yeah. I mean, Angelo managed to do it with the main event ring. So
yeah, maybe he can do something creative with that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think you'll get that from China?
I think so. Yeah, probably.
From China. Get all your good stuff from China. That's what it is.
I can knock out my biggest pet peeve that I've seen or that I've experienced myself.
The biggest one ever.
All right. So my biggest pet peeve, and Lucas can attest to this. I probably mentioned it a little bit. I think I even mentioned it in the show, but the biggest like pet peeve that I have is just when you have to like maneuver, and it goes back to even his point that he was talking about earlier, where you want your setup to be super, you can navigate through your setup. You don't have to like get in like a weird position to film and stuff like that. But basically, you got your lamps, you got your figures, you got everything going, you're ready to go. And, I have to lean over and my elbow grazes something. And then there you go, the dominoes effect. And then everything.
I think figures just falling is the worst thing when you have something posed.
Yeah, that'll happen. Also, that happens, especially if you're on the outside or something like that. But literally, like just maneuvering around lamps and having to deal with the repercussions if you graze a crowd member or you graze something and it just bumps everything over. That's my.
Or you knock the table.
Yeah, you bump the table with your knee, you lean over and you jump or something like that.
Body parts than you know what to do with sometimes. Sometimes you just hit the table with your elbow and you're just like, how did my elbow even get over there? What the hell? And
do you guys ever have it where you like knock over a figure and then you lose like the position he was in? So it's like you have to kind of figure out where he was to keep the continuity of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's annoying.
I kind of never really worried about that.
Or have you ever been mid pose or something? You had to leave and you come back and then like the pose is maybe not as crisp or, the figure's been chilling in like a damn cannonball position or something like that.
Nah, I don't think I ever had anything like this, honestly, with my amount of the only time it happened was with my poor referee who fell face first. And Lord rest his soul. But
it happens a lot with the running, I think, because running's really hard to when you're trying to put his like toe, the back foot toe on the ground, and that kind of screws it up sometimes and makes him fall.
Yeah, at that point, I just kind of get my camera and just like finagle the angle, or it was like, oh, it looks like he's running, but I'm trying my best here.
When you have your money shot and then the figure falls, that's just that's just the worst.
Yeah. Oh man, when you miraculously have it like on the top rope and you don't even use string or nothing and it just like stands there.
Bro, I wish.
You're just like, yo, please. And you're just looking dead at it while you're reaching for your phone or your camera or whatever. And just please stay there, please stay there, please stay there. And 1 out of 100 times it'll actually stay there.
And then you have that moment where you do that and then it knocks over, you don't get the shot, but then you keep trying to do that and then you can't do it
again. Never
again.
And
it's like, oh my God, I just missed the biggest opportunity ever. And I messed it up.
And when you do it, you feel like you're the best pic fedder that ever lived. Yeah, with all of that, I think I have like at least one more pet peeve and it's a pretty dang doozy one. All right, you guys ready to hear it? Here we go. My biggest pet peeve when it comes to people's pic feds, even mine, and I've fallen victim to this many times. Unoriginal feuds / storylines. You have people who have done Seth Rollins versus Jon Moxley to absolute death. And not only that, AJ Styles versus Kenny Omega to death. We've all been like victim to this. And wrestling's been around for a long time. Pic Fed's been around for a long time. You can only think of so many original feuds that sound like a cool thing to watch. But sometimes you just gotta think out of the box because I've seen a lot of people who are getting their pic feds done, and they're taking stuff off of NXT. People are doing Ciampa versus Walter, Gargano versus Ciampa, Gargano versus Aleister Black, Gargano, all this stuff. And it's literally like I'm watching an episode of NXT again. I don't want to do that. I want to watch pic feds for original ideas. I'm not saying I'm the most original guy, but at the very least, you can say that the only place you can watch Matt Riddle fight Bane from The Dark Knight Rises is an FAW. You know what I'm saying? And also, that's the only place you can see Nacho Libre fighting Mustache Mountain. You gotta kind of think outside of the box here, people. I don't want to keep seeing stuff that's already been established in AEW or WWE or New Japan or whoever you watch. I don't know, man. I don't know what kind of advice to give, because there's only so much stuff you can do, but like maybe doing it in a different way, different dynamic. I remember seeing Brock Lesnar come back, and if I was like in 2018, I would completely just trash that. But the thing is, this is heel Roman Tribal Chief versus a face Brock Lesnar. That just changes the whole game.
Yeah.
That's kind of
sure.
Yeah.
I think that's I've seen a lot of people I think agree with that one, because I've seen that on Instagram, people, dogging people that do a Shield breakup, dogging a Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose / John Moxley feud. Kenny Omega is the champion in every Fed, and he's, the Bullet Club's the top deal, and the AJ Styles and all that. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, I think everybody like craps on that.
Yeah, and like nobody's perfect, but you gotta strive to at least have one original storyline in your Fed. I'm not saying everything's got to be original, but you gotta have.
And I want to see someone create their own matches. Like that's why I do like Deadly
that's
Game,
the whole point. Yeah,
Brawl, Warzone. Yeah, like no, I don't see anyone doing that. I've seen Gennady do that a couple times, but besides that, I haven't really seen anyone else do that.
Yeah, and, come on, man, we gotta inspire like you right there. Watching the video, I want you to come up with a crazy match. Okay, come up with the craziest match you can do. Film it, plan it, manifest it. I want to see it.
Can I pitch something? I've been thinking of doing something like that, and I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. But I was thinking like for GCW Extreme, I wanted to do like a Royal Rumble for that as well. But, Nathan is already doing kind of like the Royal Rumble with like weapons in it. I was figuring, how about if you do a Royal Rumble with like barbed wire net surrounding the ring?
That'd be dope.
Yeah, that would be
something.
But then it might be overused though, because if everyone's just going into barbed wire, then it's not special after a while. Because then it's like 30 guys going into barbed wire.
What if that's the gimmick, like a ladder match, like everybody does?
Yeah, but then how many times can you go, oh, he went into the barbed wire? Oh, he went into the barbed wire.
People can try to avoid like falling into the barbed wire by, jumping over it or whatever.
I think that'd be a cool match for like maybe like 10 people battle royal or something.
Yeah.
But like a whole Rumble, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean like the whole over exposure to weapons, that could go to anything. It could go through a table. You go for a table, a ladder, a chair. I
mean, put fire on one side, put tables on one side, put
how the hell is he gonna put fire?
Yeah.
Hey, you don't know what could happen
over there.
Let's see it in MDT. Let's go.
You never know.
There you go.
I've set things on fire before.
So does my buddy Mike SWE. I remember he set his table on fire for his Devil's Playground match in Christmas Chaos. That was the first time I ever seen anyone go that far.
You love to see it.
Yeah. I could never do that because I have a fear of just burning everything down, because I'm not a very patient man, even when it comes to like crafting things in real life and doing things.
I mean, hey, if it goes wrong, you always got a viral video on your hands.
Man,
kid sets house on fire after doing action figure
match. My house is not worth that. Okay, my house is
I remember I set a rocking chair with Kane in it on fire.
Oh,
like
boy.
Really long time ago. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about people setting things on fire, let's bring up the king of it, Grimm. Remember when he used to set everything on fire in his old YouTube videos whenever he didn't like a figure? Yeah. Whenever he didn't like a figure, he just burned Alberto Del Rio. Had Batista murder The Miz on the stove. All those classic moments. So yeah, that guy was the most unstable of them all when it came to fire and stuff like that. How he always used to.
Would love to have him on the show.
Yes.
Would be
let's do it.
Indeed. Grim Toy Show. Silly Super Pop. Get your ass here. All right, that's a challenge. And it's not even a request, it's a challenge. I'm challenging everybody today. I'm challenging the person watching this video to go and create something crazy for their Fed. I'm challenging Jeremy Padower to freaking fix his AEW balls. And I'm challenging Grimm's Toy Show to come on this show and talk some shit about Feds.
Every time I see that guy, he's just talking about $1 million baseball cards. You know, I feel like the joints are not really. Yeah.
I love him, man.
I think it's time to answer a lucky question from last episode's comment section. I tried to make this sound natural, but it kind of failed. But anyway, I think it's time to answer Mr. Ryan Lopardi's question from last week's episode. It says, in your guys' opinions, how do you feel about your most famous matches? Like, do you guys feel like you could have done better on, say, Penta versus G-Man or Deadly Games? Just wondering if you guys think you could have done something better on some things. Very, 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 very interesting question.
That's a good question.
Huh? The thing is, we have to determine is what is our most famous matches.
Well, I know what mine is. Match? I know what mine is.
Because are we talking about views, or are we talking about like what people know us for? Like, what are we talking about here?
I would probably go with like your either maybe the match you're most proud of, maybe.
Either that or the one that most people talk about when they talk about you.
Yeah,
because that would probably be Deadly Games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my favorite Deadly Games is the newest one, which is Deadly Games 4, the tag
one
team
where Aleister Black just kills himself.
Oh man, the story! I just love that, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But yeah, he sacrificed himself to break free from being a slave, and yeah, it was awesome. But it's relatively new, so I think in a few months maybe I'd have a different opinion. But I think it's as close to as perfect as I would want it to be. So yeah, but yeah, I think maybe Deadly Games 3 probably it's got more views, more people have seen that. There are some things I would change, mainly the editing. I've just gotten a lot better at editing, but I think that's pretty good as well. So yeah. What about you guys?
Well, I know my most famous match is G-Man and Pentagon. That's the match that put G-Man on the map in the Pic Fed community. When it comes to what I could have changed about that match, there's not really much I could have changed. And you might call me crazy for this, but I think I wish I could have made that match even longer. Mostly because I remember everyone was making such a big deal about this one person in the Pic Fed community. He was like a big shot. His name was Johnny. And he wanted to make an hour one-on-one match. And it was between like Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. And it was like an Iron Man match. And it was like 48 minutes. My match was 36 minutes, but I kept on thinking, bro, like, I want to beat the record. You know what I'm saying? I want to beat that record for this match because it has like the most storyline to it in my Fed. But I had to tap out because I just couldn't think of any other stuff to do to these men that haven't been done, you know, and to have them still be walking afterwards. It just wouldn't make sense. It would just become a cartoon at that point. So yeah, I wish it was longer.
But did it need to be longer?
Kind
or do you just want to make it longer because
no, it needed to be long. It was like the final battle. It was basically like the last match I'd ever do. Because it was like the final chapter in the G-Man story. It was supposed to end off there, but then then that match just blown up, or however you want to say it. I'm tired. It's late, but yeah, it just blew up, and people wanted more from me, and I was like, man, you know, maybe this won't be the last one. And then I did Birthday Bash, But as far as like the G-Man and Pentagon stuff goes, I wanted to make it longer, but it just wasn't realistic. And
sometimes that's just what you got to do, though. I mean,
yeah, you got to make sacrifices to make the best possible product. You know, maybe, you know, sometimes less is more, or more, you know, more is more. This time it's like less was more. Less than what I wanted was more. And I think as far as like the match goes, I think everything just turned out perfectly for it. There was a time where like I kind of botched the sound effects, but that just happens sometimes, you know, and like not everything's going to be like exactly how you want it. So yeah, G-Man versus Pentagon, my most famous match. If there was anything I'd change, it's not really anything regarding to the match itself. It's just like I stuck with my guns on how long it should be, and I think it turned out for the better. That's what I think. I think the match was like perfectly paced as it was.
For me, it's kind of hard to determine my favorite match, because it's kind of like, you know, asking for someone's favorite song. You know, it kind of depends on, you know, the mood, what you're currently in the mood for, I feel. So I don't know what my most known for. I mean, I feel like it's mostly going to be like whole pay-per-view shows, because that's, you know, the big stuff I do. You know, I always try to, you know, like to have like a pay-per-view card that's, you know, memorable. Like, of course, there are like different matches that I wouldn't really know which is the one match that stands out.
What's the most known pay-per-view, do you think? What was the most popular pay-per-view that everyone loved?
I think it was like one of his WrestleManias, right?
I mean, that also really depends on you know, what kind of audience. Like, I mean, the most feedback I've ever gotten on a WrestleMania was this year's. You know, because it had the commentary. You know, it was really the WrestleMania the year before. You know, I was just getting into the commentary, but I feel like this year's was the first one, you know, that was like really nicely produced commentary, and everything was on point. So I would probably go with this Mania. You know, it's doing pretty well on YouTube. And obviously there's always stuff, you know, where you wish you would have had more time to film it and make it longer. But sometimes it's just hard, you know, first of all, I want to get a certain amount of shows out every year. And also, you know, you kind of need to upload on YouTube frequently enough. So I can't really take like 2 weeks without posting anything. So it's like that balance. And pretty much in every match, I feel like after being done with it, you see something like, oh, I wish I would have done this differently, or I wish I would have gone a little bit longer. This is just kind of what I think of it.
What about you, Trey?
The question was, would I change anything about my most notable?
Your most notable match, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say no. Just, you know, you may go back and look at something like, I wish I would have framed this a little bit differently, or maybe I should have done this. But as far as like the full story that I wanted to tell, and the, you know, the moments that I had planned for the match, and the way that everything turned out, and the reciprocation from everybody, and everybody who viewed it, or who's a fan or a longtime fan that watched, I would say, you know, that it pretty much played out like I wanted it to. So
which one was your most notable? And yeah. I think you meant like, would you change anything about the editing or the way you filmed it? Like, oh, do you notice a mistake that you would have fixed today because maybe you improved your skills? I think that was more along the lines.
Yeah, I think it's the same, but I would say probably the Elite Championship Elimination Chamber, I guess, would be the one, if I had to guess. I mean, people may feel differently, but that's probably the one that
I hear a lot about the Kevin Owens hardcore match.
Oh yeah,
the one where he Rumble just destroyed. When he destroyed Jomo the Homo on the freaking car. Yeah.
I don't know. When I go back and watch that one, it's hard to even. Also, when I commentated that, I was also like super exhausted. That's the one thing I remember about that match. So everybody remembers the match, and I remember how god awful I felt commentating it because I had been up for so long and like I had edited some extreme hours. So I felt super bad, but I don't know that, like when I go back and watch that match, it's like, I feel like I could have done it way better now with the physical way. But as far as if we're talking about the elimination chamber, then I feel pretty, I mean, of course, like in time, I feel like everything kind of, when you look back at things, you see a mistake here and there, you see something you may could have done differently, but I feel pretty proud of those things.
Yeah. I'm definitely proud of G-Man and Pentagon. I'm proud of Birthday Bash. You know, it's always that euphoric feeling of being proud of the work you produce. Like, if you're not proud of it, it's just like that's just sticks with you, you know.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. So
yeah, of course not. So yeah, man, guys, give it your all with this stuff. You know, don't half-ass it, because if you half-ass it, why are you even doing it?
My family has a motto actually where it's, you know, we don't half-ass it, we whole-ass it. So there you go.
That's a lot of ass. All right.
Yeah, and, whole-ass anything, so.
And with that concludes our question. But that doesn't mean we're gonna leave you guys out. We want you to ask a bunch of questions down there in the comment section of this video, and we'll get to those questions next week. How many questions do you think we want to answer? 3, 2, or 1? Lucky guy. How many guys do you think?
I think about 3. It depends how many good questions we get.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that
down below.
A minimum of 3, and if we see some other cool questions or people leave some good questions, we'll definitely answer them. But you got to fill up
and
talking feds.
And please like the questions that you like.
Yes.
Yeah. Popularity is king. Popularity is king here in these guys, and make them good too. All right, make these good questions some real humdingers. You know what I'm saying? For the next episode, we really want to be big brain about all this. All right, so give us your best, guys. We're counting on you, just like you count on us for each individual episode and every week. All right, and we aim to please, we aim to deliver, and we expect only one thing from you guys is to ask us questions. Keep involved, because we love interacting with our fans, don't we, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But I think with that, we might conclude this episode of Talking Feds. I've been the one and only Danny Meltzer. This is WSC. This is MDT. This is my broadcasting partner, Luke. And we're all going to gather together and say to you, goodbye.
See ya.
And don't cross the line.
Don't do that. Okay, bye.